And I enjoy this part of the show because, when I go to like wrestling signings, somebody asked me one time, said, "Oh, you like seeing your other friends and you like seeing, are you excited to see them?" Not really, because I worked with them for 30 years. Hell, I couldn't stand half of them then. So showing up in a building just to sign autographs, I mean, they're okay. But what I really enjoy is talking to fans because they got the best stories. They can say, "Oh, I was here when you did this," or "I was there when so and so did that," and blah blah blah. And you can feel the enjoyment they felt through wrestling, or the happiness they felt, or what wrestling they met their wife through wrestling, or this, that, and the other. But those to me are interesting stories. And if all you got to do is get them to loosen up, start telling you a few stories. Much interesting than seeing a guy you worked with 10 years ago. How are you? I'm doing good. How are you? I'm doing good. And then you go, well, okay. Tell the old lady hello. Oh, you do the same. But that's it. But I really enjoy at the signings. I really enjoy talking to fans.
Who, let's say there's a signing a couple of 100 miles away and you don't really fancy doing it, but there's a certain wrestler on the card who's also doing a signing. Who would you get up and go out of your way to go and see?
Oh, there'd be a lot that I'd want to. I wouldn't get up and go out of my way just to see them, but that would be one of the perks to get me to go. I would say, well, so and so is going to be there, or this guy's going to be there, and I can't give you a name right off, but I know I used to work with these guys, so it's kind of good to check back in with them. Good to know they're still alive,
Mm.
some of them, and like Jerry Lawler or Jeff Jarrett or some of those guys, or Jerry Jarrett, uh, Ron Fuller, which I've suggested to you. You need to have him on your show.
Mm.
Great, great storyteller. If you get me and him together, I mean, and he's funny too. And he tells these stories. He still tells the story about me when he opened his territory up in Knoxville. I was People were coming to the matches. I was looking out the back window, and they had a bridge, a little walk bridge. One guy was riding a donkey over the bridge to come to the building. I says, "Ron, they're riding donkeys to get here." And I saw the guy inside. I said, where's that donkey at?" He said, "Oh, I sent him back over the bridge to get my daddy." And so the daddy went back. I guess the donkey went back over the bridge. It wasn't long; it was short on the bridge. And I guess it brought his daddy back. Damnedest story ever heard. I guess his daddy had trouble walking, but maybe the guy had trouble walking too because they rode the donkey in. I don't know why the guy didn't lead the donkey and put his daddy on it at the same time. It saved the whole trip. But I digress. So,
I was going to say probably saved the donkey's back as well somewhat. There's a saying that's come up in the last few years to describe many. It's a very pejorative term, and it's outlaw mud show. And
mhm.
can you, off the topic, I've written a bunch of questions, and this isn't on any of them. Just made it up right now to ask you: can you give me an outlaw mud show event that you ended up being at, and were like, oh my god?
Oh, I've been at a lot of them, which I got to say are the shits. They're horrible, but they're entertaining at the same time. Sometimes I just pull a chair up and I'm going to say, and these are guys who have really had a lot of them, not all of them, but some of them have had no formal training at all. And they get in the ring and they try to do this stuff with no timing and not much practice. And actually, you're almost watching somebody kill themselves. So you see it on the internet sometimes. I saw this guy get on top of this. It's a cage. And the guy was sitting in a chair outside. And I'm thinking, now this is on tape because he wouldn't have been there unless the guy had done the dive. But I'm saying, is he going to dive on that guy? And he did. And he missed him, where his leg got him, hit the guy in the head, knocked the guy in the chair out. The guy's head hit the floor, knocked him out. And I'm thinking, why in the hell would anybody agree to do this? I mean, it had to be the guy's idea that jumped off the cage. But why would the guy sit there in the chair and have a guy come? He had to come down at least 15 feet, and you're sitting down anyway. Why would you let somebody land on you? Would you do that?
No, not from 1 foot.
No. So I'm thinking, man, these guys could have gotten killed. For what? There's like 50 people in the audience. I don't know. Some of these guys, see, when you walk into an independent, you didn't ask this question, but when you walk in an independent dressing room, like an independent event, you don't know who these guys are. One guy could just got released from prison 2 weeks ago for murder or something, and he's in there getting dressed. Or some guy could have just robbed a 7-Eleven 30 minutes before he got there, and he come in with a gun on him, police looking for him. You don't know anything about these people. So I advise I'm sure most wrestlers know this that make independent shows. You got to watch anybody that comes in that door to independent show. You don't know who they are. You don't know what their background is, and you don't know what they're capable of doing or even attempting to do. People in the dressing room may know, but you don't know. So it does make it exciting when you go to a independent show. You don't know what you're going to meet.
What is I've heard one really good one, which I will bring up. But these venues, some of these weird venues that hold wrestling shows, like a car park or a parking lot, as you'd call it, barns, rundown clubs. Sabu once told me that there was actually a show once, I think maybe in Japan, in a dried up riverbed, because there was like a natural valley where hundreds and hundreds of fans could all see the ring. And it was obviously an outdoor event as well, because it was in a dried up riverbed. So actually that was quite ingenious. But where are some of the worst places that you've performed in, or just some of the strangest venues?
I was in a cave one time. And it's called Cave City, Kentucky. And I don't know if they have events in there. I think they do, because they have some lights up. A long, long time ago. Colder than hell in there, and the whole about 50 or 60 feet is just wide open. And the cave goes back, and the ring sit around, and bats were in the building. So I was watching them, and I can't see very well. I said, what if a bat comes down and bites me or something, or whatever they do? I could die from some disease or something. I've been in a cave. That was a weird place. I've been on a tractor trailer, the trailer park. We went to this is in Kentucky too. I got a lot of Kentucky stories. But they had this racetrack right outside Louisville, and they did a special one night where they were going to have wrestling, I guess, at intermission or whatever. And they put me on the back of this trailer, and the truck would drive around slow. So we would start the match in front of the grandstand, and then it would go around, and it would make the corner, and then we'd be on the back stretch. I mean, they were so far away. It was like 1/10 of a mile away, and we was wrestling. And I remember I wrestled Dirty White Boy, and he'd been drinking. He was beating the living shit out of me. I said, and I just stood up in a regular tone of voice, and you wouldn't do this in the ring with people sitting close. I said, what the F are you doing? He said, what? I said, lighten the fuck up. God dang. Hell, they don't know. Only one that knows is me. So stop it. Oh, I'm sorry. And we went around, and wouldn't you know it, the finish came about right when we pulled up right in front of the grandstand. Ding, ding, ding. I won, and they get off. Some bars were, you don't have any room in bars. None. But I wrestled in the bars, and I wrestled on a, what do you call these things? Not a tugboat, but a thing you pull behind a ship that you put. What are they called?
I don't know. I know what you mean, though.
But I was
like
on one of those.
Like a trawler.
That's exactly what it, and they had them there, because they couldn't ship stuff, but they could put it on a trawler and pull it by. So we got on that. I remember I wrestled Steve Kern. Steve Kern threw me in the water and I got out. So that was a crazy place to work. And then I worked in a scaffold match one time where they have a scaffold set up about 10 feet off the floor of the ring, or maybe more, 12 feet. And me and Bill Dundee fighting over something. I don't know. I don't even think about it now. But it was so high when we got on the scaffold. We was in the ring. Now we get on the scaffold. I looked straight across into the upper deck of the Mid-South Coliseum. It looked like I was on top of the Empire State Building. And I went through about a week of those scaffold matches, but none were as high as that one. I'm afraid of heights anyway. I didn't want to do it. Dundee, he loved it because he used to be in the circus anyway. And he was up there dancing around, and I'm bouncing. I think I'm going to fall off. See, the thing about a scaffold match, it's not how you get up there, it's how you get off. Guess who lost?
Was it you?
It was me, and I had to take it, and I swung down as close as I could to get to the floor. Then he stomped my hand, and I turned it loose. Oh, see, that's what happened to Jimmy Cornette in the Omni. He was on a scaffold match, and they was doing the same thing to him, and he fell. And his was probably 5 feet higher than mine. And he fell, and he landed wrong. You know, he didn't land with bended knees. He landed with straight knees, tore his knee up. And it's still not right to this day, and that's been over 40 years ago. I mean, he still walk, but his knee still hurts from that. But that was some of the crazy places I've worked. Worked at rodeos. Hey, I worked at a monster truck show one time. It was in Memphis at the Mid-South Coliseum. Had this monster truck show. They had booked wrestling as an entertainment intermission type deal. So when we left, we went to get in the ring. And I said, how long we got to go? They said, go to the buzzer goes, or the bell. Got in the ring, and I circled. It was Robert Fuller. I circled him. The bell rang. Ding, ding, ding. We started. I circled him one time. Ding, ding, ding. And I just got out of the ring, and that was it. I said, I never touched him. They said, yeah, but we got to go, man. We got to go. I said, okay. It was their show. I mean, the monster truck people run it. But that's the fun. You ever been to a monster truck show?
No, never.
Well, it's pretty good for about 30 minutes. Then you've seen all of them, and then the rest of it is just repeat. You've already seen the trucks. And that's where I learned that what they call Bigfoot. People in the United States will know this. Bigfoots are a big attraction. But I thought they only had one Bigfoot, because they do these shows all over. You know, they run 3 a night, I think. Guess how many Bigfoots they have?
3?
Well, at least 3. They had 7. So, but when you see Bigfoot, you think it's the original. But it's not. You just see this Bigfoot is just on the roster. So it's not the original Bigfoot. So they're lying. But anyway, that's just some of the craziest places I've worked.